Watchholz attacked Vince and was fired immediately.
Whoa.
But the story
Get why they wouldn't want to bring bro back is because he almost literally killed Vince McMahon. That nigga was choking bro out.
Oh, what's up? Oh, what's up?
Yo, what up? It's Majid back here in another video. Today we're about to be reacting to a video by Wrestling Fusion. The video is going to be on WWE wrestlers who were erased from history. Nigga, yo, I'm pretty sure throughout the years, a lot of people deserve to get erased from history. And we're starting with Chris Benoit. You already know, but shit, that's a shaky ass situation, bro. He, like, before they even learned the true reason, they were celebrating him, bro, because he was a great wrestler. But like when they seen and like learned what he did, it was a no-go, bro. It was a no-go, bro, when we had to just like forget about him. So I'm glad WWE had to distance themselves from that. But like, especially they had to distance themselves from who else? I think China at the time, but they, you know, they put her in the Hall of Fame with DX, but they need a singularity Hall of Fame for her. China was a great, bro. She didn't deserve to be treated like that. But before we get into the video, like and subscribe, and like click that hype button if you've been enjoying my videos. Let's get into it.
Sometimes WWE doesn't just bury a wrestler, they completely scrub them from existence. From horrible tragedies to public fallouts, this is the story of every wrestler WWE tried to erase from history. Kicking things off with the name you'll never hear on a WWE show again, Chris Benoit. Benoit was one of the greatest pure workers to ever lace up a pair of boots. And he also did something so horrific that WWE has spent nearly 2 decades pretending he never existed. Benoit trained at the Hart Dungeon in Calgary and wrestled across every major promotion on the planet before finally landing in WWE. His crowning...
And it's hard to fucking try to forget about this dude because like he was part of like some of the greatest matches that they had, and you know, part of like you know, most of like superstars careers too, you know, like that one Shawn Michaels and that, I think that triple threat between Shawn Michaels and Triple H and him, and that was one of the greatest matches.
Moment came at WrestleMania 20 in Madison Square Garden. After years of being told he wasn't good enough, Benoit won the World Heavyweight Championship in the main event and celebrated in the ring with his best friend, Eddie Guerrero. He also held the United States Championship, the Intercontinental Championship, and is considered one of the most influential wrestlers of his generation. Guys like Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins have all openly cited Benoit as a key influence on how they wrestle. But then there's the horrible incident from June 2007. On the night Benoit was scheduled to compete for the ECW Championship against CM Punk, his absence followed by a series of text messages prompted WWE officials to contact authorities. Hours later, they found that Chris Benoit, his wife, and his son were no more. By the time Monday Night Raw aired the following evening, Vince McMahon took to the stage and dedicated the entire broadcast as a tribute to Benoit's life and career. But 24 hours later, that tribute was gone from WWE's history forever. It was revealed that Benoit had taken the lives of his wife and son before taking his own life. Within days, WWE scrubbed Benoit from their website, their DVD releases, their video games, and their programming. His matches were edited out of highlight packages. His name stopped being mentioned on commentary. His championship reigns were quietly removed from history. In the years since, researchers studying Benoit's brain found severe CTE so advanced it was compared to that of an 85-year-old man with dementia.
Jesus.
The wrestling world has grappled with that discovery ever since, debating how much it explains and how much it excuses.
This is like a huge part of why, like, you know, kind of like chair shots were kind of stomped out. I really get it. I really get it. Like, as much as people like kind of like seeing that shit and brutal shit, I really do not advocate for people to just keep getting hit in the head over and over and over again. I personally do not like that shit. It's like cool to see, but these are regular ass human beings just like us. Of course they're athletes, but like these are regular human beings just like us. And like this whole thing is like I'm on the side of like he deserves to get scrubbed out of history, and he doesn't deserve to get scrubbed out of history, probably like on the wrestler side, because like he was a huge inspiration to everybody, and like he was a great ass technical wrestler. Like as a human, like I feel like over the years Paul Heyman kind of put it straight, you know, I think he said the wrestler, like, much respect, love him, but like as a person, fuck that guy. And I think I would feel the same way about that.
There are no clean answers. Where the legacy stands today is complicated. His matches still circulate, wrestlers still study his work privately. But WWE's official position is clear: Chris Benoit does not exist. And given what happened, it's hard to argue with them. But from a tragedy that shook the entire industry to a fall that was self-inflicted, the story of Enzo Amore is a completely different kind of erasure.
Damn.
Enzo had zero prior wrestling training when he came to NXT in 2012. WWE took a gamble on his charisma, and for a while, the bet paid off enormously. Paired with the towering Big Cass, they became the most entertaining act in NXT. And when they debuted on the main roster in 2016, the pop they received was enormous. Behind the scenes, though, the picture was ugly. Enzo had a reputation as one of the most difficult people in the locker room. He was loud, disrespectful, and seemingly didn't want to take feedback. Roman Reigns personally removed him from the talent travel bus at one point, and the tribal chief is not someone who does things like that lightly. By 2017, the locker room's patience had run out, and WWE quietly separated him from Cass and moved him to the Cruiserweight division. The rebrand actually worked at first. Enzo won the Cruiserweight Championship, and for a brief window, it looked like he might be onto something. But then came January 2018. Misconduct allegations surfaced online before the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. WWE released him the same day, before any investigation had concluded. The Cruiserweight title was vacated. By the time the Phoenix Police Department closed their investigation in May 2018 citing insufficient evidence, it was already over. WWE wasn't taking him back, and the locker room made clear they didn't want him back either. Since leaving, Enzo, now going by Real One, has pursued a rap career, wrestled in MLW, and made his TNA debut in 2025. And if there was any chance of Enzo ever coming back, he made sure to erase it himself by showing up at Survivor Series dressed as a fan and taking shots at Paul Heyman to promote an indie show recently. He still has the charisma, he still has the mouth, but Enzo...
I mean, I'm gonna side it, like, he doesn't deserve to, like, really get erased from WWE, but, like, I feel like how he moved and how, you know, he handles some shit is really stupid, bro. I mean, maybe in his head, he probably figured he probably won't get invited to WWE anymore. But yeah, that whole stunt was just like a good highlight, you know, just for some shits and giggles, you know, when he was in the crowd, like talking about how you doing, you know, trying to like ramp up the crowd again. But I really think he doesn't deserve to get scrubbed from history. I know he wasn't like in behind the scenes, and I know he wasn't. I know his reputation was kind of shit, but like compared to like probably these other people on this list, he's like one of the ones that doesn't get. Well, I mean, plenty of people were like, you know, ended on the company out of shit, but like I don't think he deserved to get erased.
Enzo Amore hasn't been mentioned in the WWE for almost a decade. However, while Enzo's erasure was self-inflicted, Owen Hart's case is simply heartbreaking.
Man.
Owen Hart was a beloved locker room presence, a committed family man, and one of the most gifted wrestlers of his generation. And WWE has spent 25 years in a complicated, painful dance with his memory that has never been fully resolved. Owen was the youngest son of the Hart wrestling dynasty, trained by his father Stu. While Bret got the early spotlight, Owen was quietly developing into something special. His singles career exploded in 1994 when a storyline split from his brother Bret gave him the perfect vehicle. He went on to win the Intercontinental Championship twice, the Tag Team Championships 4 separate times, and even the King of the Ring tournament. But on May 23, 1999, at the Over the Edge pay-per-view in Kansas City, Owen Hart fell from the rafters of Kemper Arena during a planned entrance stunt and passed away. He was 34 years old. Vince continued the pay-per-view that night, and the decision remains one of the most debated in the company's history.
Bro, this is such a a young age to just like die, bro. Like 30 is really such a bad situation to I mean not a bad situation, but like a really bad like young age to die, bro. And the situation to like let that shit keep going, that was like real fucking disrespectful. You could have just stopped the whole pay-per-view, but like I guess it was just like money on the line. I know people would say the show goes on, but like somebody died. Like come on, bro. And like at the end of the day, I could sort of get like, yeah, I know it's WWE's fault, but like his memory and everything deserves to get honored. I guess I know AEW's doing like a whole tournament, but like I feel like he should be in the Hall of Fame, but like at the same time, I do get that it's like kind of like letting the people whose fault that he was like killed, like, you know, honor him. So this kind of like a topic that's just kind of like left in limbo. I get why though.
In the aftermath, Owen's wife Martha Hart pursued legal action against WWE and won a significant settlement. That victory came with lasting consequences for how WWE could publicly handle Owens' legacy. Martha has been vocal and unwavering for over 2 decades. She does not want WWE profiting from Owens' name or image, and she has the legal standing to enforce that position. As a result, Owen Hart sits in an unusual limbo. He is not erased in the way Benoit is erased. WWE does not actively pretend he never existed, but he is absent. His matches surface occasionally in retrospectives. His name gets mentioned, but there has been no DVD, no proper documentary, no Hall of Fame induction. In 2023, AEW and Martha Hart established the Owen Hart Foundation Tournament, giving Owen's legacy a home outside WWE's walls. For many fans, it's the closest thing to a proper tribute he has ever received. But going from one of wrestling's most heartbreaking stories to one of its most violent backstage chapters, let's talk about how a physical altercation with Vince McMahon ended one of the more unique character runs of the early 90s. Kevin Watchholes had been wrestling on the independent circuit for years under various names before WWE signed him in 1992. Nails was presented as a convicted criminal who blamed his imprisonment on the Big Boss Man. He debuted in a prison jumpsuit, spoke in a slow, raspy voice, and immediately felt like something different from the cartoonish personas surrounding him at the time. The character had real heat. For a performer with a relatively thin in-ring background, he was getting a significant platform. And then, in November 1992, everything ended in a single afternoon. What is consistently reported is that a contract and payment dispute escalated into a physical confrontation in which Watchholes attacked Vince and was fired immediately.
Whoa.
But the story did not end there. Watchholes subsequently became a witness in the 1994 steroid trial against Vince McMahon, testifying about alleged steroid distribution within the company. His testimony was largely dismissed by the jury, and Vince McMahon was acquitted on all counts. WWE never brought him back. His matches were not highlighted in future home video releases. Watchholes largely stepped away from public life after the mid-90s and was never mentioned on WWE programming again.
I mean, on the short, I can get why they wouldn't want to bring bro back is because he almost literally killed Vince McMahon, or because that nigga was choking bro out per, like, I think whatever Brett said or some wrestler said behind during that day. And yeah, I wouldn't want to invite that dude back and ban him for life too. But like on the other side of things, WWE was actually giving people steroids. We are pretty sure my reactions on here, and whoever sticks to my reactions to the WWE side really know that these fools actually do all of that shit. But yeah, I wouldn't want to invite that nigga back either.
However, not every disappearance from WWE's history is permanent. Sometimes the company scrubs someone for business reasons or public controversies and then quietly brings them back when the moment is right or the money is good enough. Just like Hulk Hogan. In July 2015, a recording surfaced containing deeply offensive language from Hogan during a private conversation. WWE acted immediately, terminating his contract, removing him from their website, and pulling him from the Hall of Fame page. For about 3 years, Hogan was effectively erased from the company. But in 2018, he was reinstated into the Hall of Fame, and the Hulkster made several appearances for the company. Dean Ambrose was one of the most compelling performers of his generation. As part of the Shield alongside Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, he was a cornerstone of the company's most critical.
I feel like the way they brought Hulk Hogan back was just the most weirdest thing ever. They kind of just like shoving him back in when like less hype around his name was. People really never stopped hating Hogan, because like he truly really didn't apologize. I think he was talking to Booker T, and I heard Booker T was like talking to him, and like he was telling the story of that conversation, and he really said like, yo, if you really want to apologize, wait, no, that was Mark Henry. I'm sorry. That was Mark Henry. Mark Henry said, like, if you really want to apologize, make an apology. But, like, Hulk Hogan felt like he, if time blew over and he really didn't want to apologize and say, like, yeah, everybody else said it. And I'm like, yo.
Praised faction in years. However, after creative frustrations, Ambrose left the company in 2019. He signed with AEW shortly after its launch and has since become arguably the most fulfilled version of himself, winning the AEW World Championship multiple times and being widely regarded as a cornerstone of the company. WWE hasn't completely scrubbed him from history, but Ambrose is rarely mentioned on Raw or SmackDown today, and even during promo battles between his Shield brothers, they tend to refer to him indirectly instead of name-dropping him on live TV. The Ultimate Warrior was one of the most—
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, bro. I'm glad like Ambrose left WWE, and at the same time, I wish he was like back in WWE. And I wish they kind of took him serious and upholding him not in like a goofy way, bro. Because remember they turned this nigga heel, and the first few weeks let this nigga take a shot in his ass from some fucking needle, bro. That's the most weirdest shit ever, bro. I don't know. I feel like there's so much of a corny way to handle like this anti-villain that literally just fucking turned on his Shield brother. And in fact, this nigga even turned heel and he didn't want to on Roman Reigns' cancer announcement, bro. So it's like, like you're gonna if you're gonna make that nigga turn right there, give him a serious role and write him some good ass promos. But it didn't turn out to be that. It turned out to be some shit. But like in AEW, I'm glad he's treated like a cornerstone. Like I said, I go back to this every time, bro. People are treated way better in like other companies, the ones that like aren't treated good in WWE.
Important figures of WWE's golden era. His WrestleMania 6 victory over Hulk Hogan remains one of the defining moments of that period, and his raw, unhinged energy connected with audiences in a way that was completely unique to him. However, his relationship with WWE was catastrophic for most of the 1990s and 2000s. Multiple contract disputes, bitter public exchanges, and years of mutual hostility defined the post-WWE chapter of his life. For years, his name was mentioned with contempt in WWE circles. But then, in 2014, everything changed. Warrior was inducted into the Hall of Fame, made a Raw appearance, and passed away 3 days later. WWE's erasure of the Ultimate Warrior turned out to be temporary, and the reconciliation, however brief, was moving. Randy Savage.
You know what, bro? This is like one of those stories that like always ends positive. I'm glad he had to, reconcile, just settle differences before he passed away because like, not settling grudges like and leaving that shit how it is just like no, I feel like I feel like you shouldn't leave off on that. I feel like you always should always like settle something and just like agree to disagree basically. If I can't come to an agreement. But like, I'm glad that ended like a good story before he passed away. Rest in peace, Ultimate Warrior, man.
Was another big name from the Golden Era who had a turbulent relationship with the company. Allegations of Savage having an affair with Stephanie made his post-WWE relationship with Vince McMahon notoriously cold and kept him out of the Hall of Fame for years. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2015 after his death, and CM Punk added his diving elbow drop to his moveset to pay tribute to the Macho Man. And speaking of Punk, after the Second City Saint walked out from the company in 2014, WWE erased him from their programming almost immediately. For years, his merchandise vanished, and his name was rarely mentioned in WWE circles. The two sides eventually reconciled, and Punk returned in 2023, winning the World Heavyweight Championship and main eventing WrestleMania versus Roman Reigns. Ryback had one of the most...
This is like something we'll never like really pretty much see, bro. This is like a one in a million, bro. But like, I don't like the way they did like CM Punk on his way out, bro. This nigga Vince McMahon sent him fucking papers on his wedding day, bro. But like, I don't think that nigga would have ever came back if Vince was still in charge. I mean, there was something like, they could fix something with Triple H, but like if that was Vince McMahon, he was totally in charge of the fucking whole thing. I never see that happening. But I'm glad he came back to WWE.
Promising monster pushes of the early 2010s. His catchphrase was over, his undefeated streak caught momentum, and for a window of time, he was being positioned as a legit main event threat alongside CM Punk and John Cena. However, his departure in 2016 was bitter, with Ryback going public about pay disputes and what he described as a fundamentally unfair contract structure within WWE. He has remained vocal about his criticisms of the company ever since. In response, he was removed from WWE programming and largely erased from highlight packages. And then there is the tragic case of China.
Yeah.
Joni Laurer came...
I'm not gonna lie, Ryback kind of deserved to get erased from like, probably like, everything low key. Bro, if this was like years ago, I probably would have been like, man, they should bring Ryback back. But like how he moved after, I don't fuck with that. How he moved after is just crazy as fuck. He like, I mean, I know you feel how you feel. We all feel about like Vince McMahon. Like people have a love and hate relationship with him. Even not knowing this nigga physically, but like I mean, not physically. Pause. But even not knowing this nigga, but the way he disrespected his mother, the Vince's mother, the way he just like started just like moving after that, I did not like. It was weird.
Into WWE in 1997 as Triple H's enforcer and immediately broke every template that existed for women in professional wrestling at the time. She was presented as a physical force, a legitimate threat, someone the men in the locker room had reason to fear. Her accomplishments inside the ring are extraordinary and still undersold. She was the first woman to enter the Royal Rumble match. She held the Intercontinental Championship. She was a core part of D-Generation X, one of the most popular and culturally significant stables in WWE history. Her relationship with Triple H ended during her WWE tenure, and that kickstarted her downward spiral. When Triple H began a relationship with Stephanie McMahon, Chyna's position inside the company became untenable, and she departed in 2001. What followed was a painful and public struggle. She made a career in the adult entertainment industry, a decision Triple H has consistently used as justification for keeping her out of the Hall of Fame, citing concerns about her being a role model for younger audiences. Chyna passed away in April 2016 at the age of 45. The reaction from the wrestling community was immediate and emotional. Tributes poured in from across the industry. Fans who had watched her break barriers in the late 90s were reminded of exactly how significant she had been, and the conversation about her Hall of Fame status became impossible to avoid. WWE eventually inducted Chyna into the Hall of Fame in 2019 as part of the D-Generation X group induction. She was not given a solo induction. Whether a group induction counts as proper recognition for someone with her
I'm sorry, group induction does not count as like a proper introduction, bro. She needs to be fully introduced. I know she did what she did, but a lot of people have made mistakes, bro. Like, bro, this is not gonna like give any people like kind of any windows and trying to like go into like that industry after that, bro. It was just a mistake throughout her life, bro. Like, people can't make mistakes. But hey, man, I low-key think like a few people on this, well, I feel like the latter half of it was like people like you know, kind of like erased and not erased and kind of got reinstated after that. But like I think first four, I can't even remember. Oh my god, I just reacted to this shit, sorry. But I feel like Enzo Amore didn't need to fucking get totally erased, my nigga. He could have just stayed away from WWE or something, but like, you could still show this nigga's like highlights and shit on your whole channels and shit, because you still show a bunch of crazy ass people that did like far worse than him. Hey man, tell me what you guys think of this list below. I actually fucks with this list, and I think Chyna should be in the WWE Hall of Fame solo. But man, if you guys like that video, go check out Wrestling Fusion's original video, and if you like my reaction, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And we are on the road to I was gonna say 400, I mean 600. Catch you guys in the next video.
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?